BJ Mafia, what's poppin'? Jags fans, we are just about 1 month away from the start of the 2024 NFL Draft, and I gotta say, although the Jaguars had a great free agency period, I think I'm even more excited for this year's draft and really covering all of these draft prospects, talking mock drafts with you guys, and just this next month of football, really breaking down all of these players and their profiles for you guys. And I will say, quick disclaimer, I will not be putting any of the all 22 film into any of these videos because I don't want to get copyrighted and I don't want to lose out on monetization, which means that ultimately I'm losing out on money in my pockets. Now, I will say I have considered for a long time doing a Patreon and doing a separate Jaguars content channel where all I do is film breakdowns from college prospects and our actual team. If you guys would be interested in that and you like that idea, please let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I've really been holding out on that idea, but I think it would be great for you guys to see different sides of, film and seeing ways that I produce content and the ways that I study the game. If you guys would like to see that, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. But let's stop wasting time, man. Let's actually go ahead and talk about a guy that I'm extremely excited to talk about here today. Probably the best edge in this year's draft, Dallas Turner, 21-year-old from the University of Alabama. He played 3 seasons with the Crimson Tide and just put together his best season in the last season of his collegiate career for the Crimson Tide. Now, Dallas Turner was just named this past season first team AP All-American, and he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He's projected to be an early to mid first-round pick, and I think he's absolutely going to be the first edge off of the board in this year's draft. If you want to argue Jared Verse, I wouldn't be upset with you, but personally, I think Dallas Turner's got a little bit more upside, even though both of these guys are projected to be great edges at the next level. Now, kind of going over what Dallas Turner did in his collegiate career in 3 seasons for the University of Alabama. Dallas Turner put together 117 quarterback pressures, 25 sacks, 25 quarterback hits, 67 quarterback hurries, and 2 forced fumbles. Both of those forced fumbles actually came this past season in 2023, and he's been a very good edge at the University of Alabama. He was overshadowed by Will Anderson Jr. those last couple of seasons, but he really exploded onto the scene in his junior year. Now, in 2023, Dallas Turner registered 55 pressures last season, 11 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, and 33 QB pressures. That's exactly why you saw him named as the AP All-American and the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Dallas Turner and his athleticism and his measurables going into the combine and at his pro day, which Alabama actually just wrapped up their pro day, I believe 2 days ago on Wednesday the 20th, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Dallas Turner at the combine was listed at 6'3", 247 pounds, came in with arms of a length of 34 3/8, his hands 9 7/8. And if you compare that to Trayvon Walker, who was obviously our first round pick back in 2022, you see some similarities, even though Trayvon Walker was an absolute freak of nature coming out of Georgia. Let's compare those numbers. Trayvon at the combine was 6'5", 272 pounds, came in with arms 35.5, and then his hands 10 3/4. But you see, you've got a bulky prototype with a guy like Dallas Turner already, just in terms of his measurables with his length and his body type. Now, Turner at the combine, he did run a 4.46 40, which is absolutely incredible. A 40.5-inch vertical. The athleticism is off the charts, and he had a 10.7 broad jump. Now, when you talk about Dallas Turner at his pro day about 2 months later, like I said, about 2 days ago, there's a level of concern probably from many scouts and honestly a little bit for myself as well too. He put on 9 pounds since the combine. So he registered 247 pounds at the combine. He came in on his pro day 256 pounds. And while many think that he's just bulking up and, really putting on some muscle, to gain 9 to 10 pounds in that short of a frame as an NFL athlete, especially coming into this year's draft where you're not obviously playing games, you're still doing off-season workouts, that's a little bit concerning. I will say that, but nonetheless, he came in at his pro day, 256 pounds, 28.5-inch vertical, compared to his 40.5-inch vertical that he had at the combine. Something here is not sitting right. And he also did 20 reps on the bench press, something that he did not participate with during the combine was the bench press. So 225 pounds, 20 reps, solid numbers from Dallas Turner, edge number 1 coming into this year's class. Now, when we talk about his strengths coming into this year's draft and my personal evaluation of him and what I've seen from him on tape, this guy has incredible athleticism. Like I said, let's just go off of what we saw at his combine. 4.46 speed, right? A 10.7 broad jump, 40.5-inch vertical. This guy is an absolute freak of an athlete, and he's only going to continue to get better. I think he's got the physical attributes that you look for, like I mentioned earlier, with the bulky prototype, right? Long arms, good hand size, and great explosiveness off the line of scrimmage, especially I think in a 3 technique with his hand in the dirt. I think you see him really use that speed and that athleticism to his advantage in the way that he's able to get off of the line of scrimmage. He gets a great first push on whatever tackle he's lined up opposite side on. And something else that I noticed about Dallas Turner that I absolutely love about him is this guy is relentless and has an extremely high motor. Even when the play is in the opposite direction of him on a jet sweep, the quarterback rolls out to the other side of the play, he's consistently going 110%. You rarely see this guy ever walking or jogging out there on the field, and there's times when the play's not even anywhere in the vicinity of him, and he still finds a way to chase down his guy and to make a big play or a big hit that ends up saving a huge gain or potentially a touchdown. This guy has a relentless motor. Something else that I love about him is with his length, like I said, he's able to get a great push and he uses his arms and his leverage to his advantage. Like I said, great overall hand placement, great technique. I do think he still needs to work on some of his finesse moves, some of his swim moves. He does use his bull rush and his power to his advantage at times, but as he continues to grow and work on his technique, continues to develop at the next level, more of those pass rushing moves will come with time, and that's something that obviously as a young player you will develop over time, especially if you have a Trayvon Walker or a Josh Allen there to help develop you. Now, I will say Alabama did use him in a lot of different packages, coming off the edge, hand in the dirt, him standing up at times, 3 technique, dropping him back into coverage. You saw him do a variety of things. This guy could be used in a multitude of ways, and he's like a Swiss Army knife in that front 7. Now, I do see him succeeding at the next level more as a guy who's going to be in a 3 technique, hand in the dirt, get home to the pass rusher, and to be able to create havoc in the backfield. I don't necessarily see this guy being consistently used in packages where you're going to drop him back into coverage, but I have seen him be successful throughout his collegiate career with the tape that I've seen and some of the film, but I'm just more of the philosophy. When you have a great edge rusher, especially guys like a Dallas Turner coming into the draft, you have a Josh Allen, you have a Trayvon Walker, more often than not, 95% of the time, use them to their capabilities, use them to the best of their abilities, and make sure you send them towards the quarterback. Use them in pass rushing situations, especially down and distance, obvious pass rushing situations. You take advantage of their strengths and you use them to their strengths. Now, I will say, I do think he's got an extremely high ceiling. Of course, there's some weaknesses with it, but my player comp for him coming out of this year's draft has got to be Jaelan Phillips from the Miami Dolphins. I see a lot of similarities from their body type, their athleticism, and really just what the film says. I see a Jaelan Phillips type of guy, and that is an exceptionally good player down there in the 305 with the Miami Dolphins. I see Dallas Turner as a comp with that. Now, let's actually go ahead and talk about some of his weaknesses that I identify with him at his collegiate career. Now, he does get stonewalled at time at the line of scrimmage, especially by a big physical tackle who can get both of his hands on him. When you see Dallas Turner standing up more often than not, if he doesn't get that explosiveness and his hand placement where he needs it to be right off the line of scrimmage, if he gets a bigger, more physical tackle on him, I do see him getting stonewalled at times. And at times, he just absolutely looks like he's got no direction coming off of the edge. Now, something else that I did notice is, of course, sometimes his numbers are not going to look as productive or as effective because when you take a look at it, he's getting chipped or doubled all the time, and that's what comes with a great player. So sometimes when you look at the stats and you say, well, he didn't play all that well versus Michigan, or oh, he didn't play all that well versus Mississippi, or whatever opponent you want to look at. When you look at the stats, when you go back and watch the film, look at how much he's getting consistently doubled and chipped. That should tell you all you should need to know about Alabama's best edge rusher coming out of this year's draft. And also, one big glaring weakness that I definitely noticed from Dallas Turner is his run defense. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't set the edge, but it's something he definitely needs to add to his frame, continue to get bigger, continue to get stronger. And just with his IQ, sometimes he takes the wrong angle. He does need to do a better job of setting that edge and letting the defense in the pocket collapse, because at times he gets out of his lane, and sometimes that just helps the quarterback get out of the pocket and escape and evade. When you overshoot your gaps and you take the wrong angles, you don't set the edge correctly, that can end up just blowing up the entire play, and it can allow for the play to get extended. That's something he can continue to work on, continue to bulk up and get stronger. But overall, I really like this guy's game. I like his athleticism, his intangibles, and I absolutely love this guy's motor. I don't think I can overstate that enough. This guy is going to be a great player at the next level. Now, my final verdict with Dallas Turner is he going to come to Jacksonville? Probably not, unless we trade up for him, but nonetheless, it's fun to speculate. It's fun to go over these draft profiles and talk about these athletes coming into the NFL. He is going to be an early to mid first round pick. I don't see him falling to 17, but even though edge is not the Jaguars' biggest need, if somehow, some way, we could land a guy like this to get some more depth to that defensive line with guys like Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, Eric Armstead, and then you add in Dallas Turner, boy, Saxonville 2.0 is going to look a whole lot better. I do think he has top 15 talent. I do end up thinking that Dallas Turner gets drafted to Chicago at 9, or maybe like the New York Jets at 10, maybe even the Atlanta Falcons. I forget where they're selecting. But nonetheless, I don't think Dallas Turner ends up coming to Jacksonville, but I would love to have this guy here. Jags fans, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys make of a guy like Dallas Turner? And also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Yet again, if you guys would like to see me make a Patreon and just do specifically film breakdowns so that you guys can see my work through a different lens. Jags fans, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure that you guys also go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and check that out. But Jags fans, thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Jags.